I love him and I leave him alone. I can't stop singing that song. Fool around and fell in love, man. I've been singing it for like 2 days. It's driving me crazy. Mickey Thomas, stop it. I love that song. Guess that I fooled around and fell in love. Hey, I hope you're having a great day. It's Tone the Bone here on a Tuesday. A couple things I want to check into you. By the way, did you see the Dimorphos asteroid hit last night? I was watching it live on the Disney Channel. So the NASA DART, which is a satellite dish or a satellite about the size of a bus, flew 14,000 miles an hour into this Dimorphos asteroid like 7 million miles away. And they were trying to knock this asteroid, and they'll know over the next couple of weeks if it worked, to try to knock it off its orbit around another asteroid. And if they realize they can do that, Brandon Austin Morris, good morning to you, peace brother. If they realize that we can do that, then if we ever have an asteroid that is a direct hit on the Earth, that we can move it out of the way a little bit. It may have done nothing. It was the same as like running a bicycle into like the side of a barn. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was amazing. But the first thing, and my kid goes to Indian Springs, super smart kid. And I don't know if he actually believes this is real, but he's always mentioned that he doesn't think that we actually landed on the moon. I've seen Mythbusters. Mythbusters did a whole show on whether we really landed on the moon, and we really did, because there's no way to have the technology back in the 60s to make the film look the way it did. And we know for a fact that we've built like $1 billion worth of rockets to get to the moon. And so you think you had 100,000 people working on these rockets, and we know those exist. So why the hell would we build all these rockets, not actually go to the moon? Whatever. But conspiracy theorists are knuckleheads. They're idiots. We know they're all over the place, right? So I'm sitting there watching the video last night because they had a camera on this satellite dish as it got closer and closer to the asteroid. And I swear to God, the asteroid looked like something out of a bad 1965 sci-fi movie. Did you see the video? I posted it last night on Tony Kurre Radio on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. It looked like something that you'd make like in your third grade class. It had these giant rocks on it. It was really clear. It was round. It was dark around it. I swear, if I took like a rock from my garden and just held it up to the phone, it would have looked more real than this NASA video I saw. And I thought, man, that does not look real. It didn't look real. But some of the videos you're seeing this morning where you can actually see it from the ground, it's amazing. I'm geeking out, dude. I'm not, I love when we have blood moons and the International Space Station that flew over the Birmingham area of the state of Alabama a couple of years ago. You could actually see it with your naked eye flying 17,000 miles an hour. I thought it was just fantastic. It was great. I was geeking out watching that. And then, of course, to kind of go along with the supernatural and the natural and everything, we got Hurricane Ian, which just became, I guess about 45 minutes ago, a major hurricane. It is Category 3. It's going to clip parts of Cuba, and then they're obviously saying it's going to probably grow to a 4. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone on the western side of the peninsula of Florida. It is a booger bear, and we feel for those folks. I think this is the first direct hit that Tampa is going to be getting like in over a century or something like that, which is hard to believe. But our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone down in Florida having to deal with this, the Fort Myers area. Goes all the way to Apalachicola. They're all going to be affected. I don't think it's going to affect our weather here in Birmingham, but our thoughts and prayers go to everyone who has to deal with that crap. It's going to be a major catastrophe. They're talking storm surge of 10 feet. And, of course, rain up to a foot. And, of course, when you're talking about a state that's pretty much a swamp anyway, it's going to be very, very difficult to see the catastrophic responses that are going to happen for this. So our thoughts and prayers go out, so that's kind of crazy. Kind of made me think, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who's a scientist down at UAB, and we have done some miraculous things. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, the fact that we could build a satellite to fly 7 million miles and hit an asteroid that, relatively speaking, is like trying to find a needle in the haystack. I mean, there's billions and billions and billions and billions of asteroids out there, and this thing is like this big, like in a parking lot. And the fact they got a direct hit on it was really miraculous. And then I understand that we don't really have anything to do with hurricanes. It's Mother Nature. I was talking to JP Dice from Fox 6. He's the chief meteorologist up there. And we were talking about, can we use some type of nuclear power? Can we blow these things up? Is there some way we could drop ice in the ocean so there's not that fuel to add to hurricanes? And really, quite frankly, it's like the old butter commercials. It's not nice to just screw Mother Nature. We don't want to mess with Mother Nature. We need hurricanes, believe it or not. And the fact that it all comes from the Sahara Desert, which I think is really, really interesting. But the one thing I was thinking about was, we got parts of the country, at least our country and our world, where they have these unbelievable droughts. It hasn't rained in 50 years. And then we have other areas that are flooded. And then I'm thinking to myself, we can run oil pipelines for hundreds of thousands of miles from country to country. Everything we're doing right here on Facebook Live, by the way, is underground. The cloud has nothing to do with what we do on the internet. Every financial transaction, everything we do on the internet, on the web, is underground. There are hundreds of thousands of miles of line. They're about this big that run under the China Ocean, under the Pacific, under the Atlantic. They go all over the place. It's really fascinating. If you really want to find out where your money is going and how it's transacted and everything else, it's incredible. But 99% of everything that happens on the internet, like Facebook right now, is under the ocean. And I'm thinking to myself, if we can figure out all that shit, why can't we figure out a way to move water from one part of the country to the other side? Am I missing something here? We're talking 3,000 miles from coast to coast. If the Colorado River, and every night I've been turning the news on, they're talking about how everything's drying up and there's no water left in all these 7 states, Utah, Wyoming, California, they're having all these water issues. Everyone's planting fake grass because they can't water their grass. Like, there's got to be a way for us to build something to ship all the water that we're getting on the east side of the country over to the west side of the country. Am I missing something here? Oh, it would take too long, too much money. We sent Ukraine $66 billion. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but we've sent Ukraine now $66 billion to fight this war against the Russians. For me, I think we send them whatever they need. I want to see them beat that Russian ass, and when they do, it's going to be great. And it's going to be worth every dime, particularly since we don't have to get our hands dirty in it. We just send the stuff and say, here's how you used it, go knock yourself out. But if we can spend that kind of money, and we're spending money like crazy right now. I mean, everyone's just, we got the infrastructure stuff going on, it ain't billions. We used to say billions with a B. Try saying trillions with a T, because billions is the old millions. Millions used to be a lot. It ain't nothing now. Billion, if you're not talking billions, you ain't talking any money at all. It's going to be trillions. So we got the money. So if we're really having issues with all these wildfires and droughts and all this stuff, why the hell can we not build some water line? Seriously, am I missing something here? I don't know. Anyway, we got some great stuff going on today. I was talking to Dr. Rab Stewart, my good friend. Wayne Schneider, good morning to you. I said it's not about the water, it's about the money. Someone has to be able to get filthy rich doing it. Yeah, you're right. We got the money, but someone has to get rich doing it or else they won't do it. Great point, Wayne. I was talking to Dr. Rab Stewart from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, and there's 2 things that are really, really interesting coming out. Normally I don't talk about our shows, but I thought it was really interesting. First of all, he had one of his first cases of cat herpes. Herpes is like luggage. It never goes away. And it's the same thing for humans as it is for kitty cats. Once your cat gets herpes, they never get rid of herpes. It remains dormant, so it's not passed on, but when it flares up because of stress, and cats are always stressed, they can give it to other cats. Next thing you know, you got a whole house full of cats with herpes. I'm trying to think whether I'd rather have a cat with syphilis or gonorrhea than a cat with herpes, because you can get rid of those other 2. Anyway, it makes them sneeze and wheeze. It's not a genital thing. It's actually a bodily thing. So I thought that was really interesting. So if your cat starts acting kind of weird right now, there's an influx of cat herpes out there right now. Call the Rossbridge Animal Hospital, 208-0301, or Rossbridge Vet online. The other thing I thought was really, really interesting is roughly 25 to 30% of Americans took in a pet during the pandemic because they were home, they wanted some company, they were going to be around all day, they felt like it was going to be easier to train their little doggy, the little kitty cat, and then of course a lot of people are going back home or going back to work, and them cats and dogs are sitting around all day, and so now we're hiring people to walk our dogs. Listen, if you got to hire somebody to walk your dog, you don't need a dog. Dogs are part of families. Dogs aren't meant to be used just when you need them. They are man's best friend, but you got to walk them, you got to feed them, you got to engage with them. I'm not saying they have to sit at the kitchen table or they sleep in bed with you. You know, I'm about dogs in beds. I don't like dogs in my bed. Dogs are dogs. Dogs are animals. They need to be on the floor. They have their own little bed. I take care of them. I feed them, and they're part of the family. But they ain't sleeping on my furniture. They ain't sleeping in my bed. That's my bed. It's the only place I got. It's my refuge. It's the only place I got. No dog. If I ever meet a woman and I go over to her house, we're getting ready to make love, and she's like, I hope you don't mind Fido's at the bottom. No, I ain't doing that. I ain't getting intimate with someone if your dog's got to be in the same bed with us. That's weird. I'm not doing that. You know, unless, of course, they take a lick or something at the, never mind. No, what am I talking about? So you would think with the influx of all these dogs and cats, and we have more pet ownership in this country now than we've ever had in the history of pet ownership. But there has been a 42% increase in pet thievery in the last 12 months. Isn't that crazy? A 40% increase in stolen pets over the last 12 months. And of course, they're looking for Labradors, they're looking for Boston Terriers, and they're looking for, what's the third dog? Some small little, I don't know what they call them, the small little dogs that pee all over themselves and just shake all the time. Yeah, those dogs. So if you have a small dog, and it doesn't matter what part of town you live in, if you have a small dog, Dr. Rab was like, be careful right now. The best thing to do is get a chip. Put a chip, it's like the size of a piece of rice, put the chip in the dog head, and you'll be good to go. Not left in the weather elements. Cat doms, okay. So in Rogue, cat doms, yeah, not condoms, cat doms. It's not a sexually transmitted thing. Cats getting herpes is not a sexually transmitted thing. It's a contagious thing from cats to cats. So I don't want you to think that we're having an influx of STDs with our kitty cats. Although they do prowl. There's a cat across the street, dude. This cat will kill it. If it's got a heartbeat, this cat is nailing it. It's unbelievable. Because I can hear it crying every now and then. Sounds like a baby crying. It's unbelievable. All right. Do us a big favor and check out all of our great sponsors. Chris Doris, the State Farm team, does a wonderful job. Tawny Johnson, good morning to you. We have John Gray from Driscoll Gray, does fantastic work, does all my taxes. We have When in Rome with Stuart Rome with the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, great. The Montgomery Food Bank with Michael Coleman, very good friend of mine, formerly the Jimmy Hill Mission. He does a show with us. Blues Almighty, Austin Hanks, Damon Johnson with Brother Kane. He does a show with us every single week. All of our shows run from 9 o'clock in the morning till about 8 o'clock at night. Tune into the TKR app and let me know what you think. Download the TKR app. It's free. It's Tony Kurre Radio on Android, Kurre with a K, or TKR on Apple. And listen to the TKR app. It's fantastic. It's everywhere your phone is. It's super clear, super loud. It's great. Great classic rock and roll. All of our wonderful shows. Also want to thank Kip Kiefer from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. He does two shows with us. Wanna Bet, which is a great show that runs on Saturday mornings on our podcast series. And also, of course, on Saturday at 9, 11, 1, and 3. He also does a show called Need to Know. We also have three college kids, Alex, Gray, and Nathan. They do a show called Students of the Game, which you'll be hearing here in about 37 minutes at 9 o'clock this morning on the TKR app. Listen to it, man. It's three college kids called Students of the Game. They're raw, but they talk like they're sitting around a dorm. I absolutely love this show, so that's a great show. If I'm missing the shows, Livewire Wednesday on Wednesday nights, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We have some great shows. Listen to all of our shows. If you can't listen on the TKR app, just search Tony Kurre Radio Podcast, Tony Kurre Radio Podcast, Kurre with a K, Kurre. Hundreds, if not thousands of episodes of all of our great shows on our podcast series, and we're on every major indice out there. If it's a show, it's got music in it, like When in Rome with Stuart Rome, Austin Hanks, or the Damon Johnson Show, you have to listen to those on Spotify because that's the only podcast platform that actually licenses the music, and we greatly appreciate them doing that. So, great week of shows. We got Halloween coming, and I'm about ready to lose my connection, and I think I'm still on good. So check that out. Greatly appreciate your watch this morning. Have a wonderful and blessed Tuesday. God bless you and love you, and keep on rock and rolling. Peace, baby.